welcome back. Thanks for being here. And, if you are curious, today I shall be making this podcast on monsters. It is the second part, as I promised in the first one, and this one will have some free encounters that you can take and place anywhere you like. These can all be retextured at every convenient point where it makes sense. And let us begin, as usual, with a short spoken part. The sun rose, and the plan was set. The troop was set to pass the Hagtiphilian mountains. The tour was set to start at the fort, Ek-Fatir, in the Hindish plains, then travel through the Hagwood, and up the foothills, over the pass, and down the southern side of the Shia Mountains. The team loaded their carts and climbed into their saddles. So I don't really want to bore you with all the basics. There's hundreds of videos out there, and not to be self-detrimental, but they are most likely much better than mine. But if you want to stay for this one, I am so glad. And this one will have its own unique things. And if you wanted some more practical pieces, for example, you have, a session in an hour and a half and you want something to do, just take everything from here. It should work. So, this is mainly inspiration, is what I'm trying to say. So, the first piece of inspiration is set in the Hindish plains. Another spoken phrase. The scout, Vaenia, sprinted back, her ice-elf feet sticking frost into the thin grass. She had spotted the post. It was a large tree, stripped of its branches, wrapped in ribbons. This post showed where the ferryman would pick people up. That, or wade through the Whitewater Rapids. So, this barge is a flat-topped float with a single large paddle at its back, which is used for steering. The river is filled to the brim with silt fangs. These are effectively reskinned crocodiles, or giant crocodiles if your party is stronger, but describe them as leathery creatures with 4 jaws and long spiraling tails, capable of swallowing a young man whole. And when in the centre of the river, the barge stops. The barge master, Gradwin, has noticed that the bling on the adventurers is pretty heavy, and he wants some extra payment. If they pay him, play up the googly eyes. He stares into their almost endless pockets filled with gold coins as they fish out some measly coppers for him. And at that point, he'll decide he wants it all. This is when you say roll initiative. The party is surprised, and at the start, the ferry master shakes the rudder. Everyone must make a deck save. Make sure around half fail. Keep the DC secret, so that if some people get in the high 20s and everyone is around 19, say that the DC was 19. Just find some clever way of making half the people fall in. Causing failure is easiest done by giving disadvantage to those in heavy armor, for example, or maybe those who were right on the edge. Maybe they described this previously. Which, considering the size of this barge, is practically everyone. But make sure you hand this out to those people who you think were gonna fail anyway. Be tricky. This is fine. You are in control of the game, and sometimes it feels wrong to take control over the player's actions and abilities, but it always makes for a better story, as long as you do it right. Now that they are out of the way, you can run a much more tactical fight. The ferryman has some rogue levels, so he disengages and runs to the corners, using pole arms or bladed paddles to hit from afar and keep them back. He might have the sentinel feature or the polearm mastery, whenever anyone comes close to him, he bats them away. If they are high enough level, give him both. Whenever anyone tries to approach, he hits them with the polearm master feat, and then sentry holds them in place, so that the melee fighters will never be able to get to him. Underwater. Now, the silt fangs start rocketing in. They'll grab one person and try and pull them away. Then, all the rest attack that one. This system can easily be changed in the tides of fight, pun intended. This is the first principle. Tactics. Anything with an intelligence of more than 5 should be able to make some basic plans. Find the fun features. Find the interesting abilities of each creature, and then base their tactics around it. Exploit it even. Your players most probably exploit certain features, and so why wouldn't the monsters? Drenched with blood and river water, the troop clambers out of the river. Battered and broken, their resolve strengthened. They rest for an hour and press on, into the hagwood. A sub-tip here, don't give your players long rests all the time. They can hold it together for ages if they try hard enough. Some campaigns only have a long rest every 2 sessions, or sometimes the entire campaign goes on one long fight. So, now for the hagwood. The hagwood is famous for one thing: mushrooms and hags. Alright, so it's 2 things. In the woods, they find another encounter. Or does it find them? They stumble into a thick layer of leaves, and surprise, there are snakes. You can use the stats for a swarm of flying snakes, but without the flying. Or you could use any other system. Swarms work best here. They're fending off the snakes when, strangely, the snakes start to vanish, and the corpses of the snakes reappear seconds later, bitten in half. The snakes force their backs against a row of netted trees, and then boom! A thunderous crack, and the reason for the disappearing snakes becomes apparent. Phase spiders. One huge thunder mother, standing with its children to the sides. The mother twice the size of a normal phase spider. Mini-tip: give creatures themes. These spiders' backs are like huge white death cap mushrooms, and their legs crackle as if made from lightning. This helps the encounter to stand out, and it makes the world much more memorable and even enjoyable. The mother screeches thunder, spitting snake flesh from its mandibles. The spiders are angry. Give one of the small ones a web shot attack. This gives it range. For damage, use the basic attack, like the bite, but just retexture it, so that it fires off this shot. This is my second parcel of advice. Mix things up. In a fight against one foe, or a horde of the same type, the group hits a rhythm. We want a symphony. Mixing in different creatures or ranged attackers, and some things like that, makes players tense, and gives the edge of thrill and fear and expectancy which they are here for in a fight. This is what you want. And now, for the last encounter. This is not over, there is part 3, and here is a slight hint at what the next one shall be about. Clambering up the slope, the troop's healer, Sir Davin, spotted the herb he needed. 20 minutes later, the troop was no longer afflicted by their toxic venom. With a smile he nodded and raised his eyes to the sun. After his prayer he looked down. A thin leather gauntlet lay in the damp grass near him. It was not his, or his brother's, or his wife's, or Lyanna's. It was a thin leather gauntlet on the last hill just before the mountains. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to ask me any questions, I am most certain I will answer them all and do it as fully as I possibly can. Thanks again for watching, and subscribe if you enjoyed this one. I will try and post as often as I can. Thank you, and see you again. Part 3 will come soon. Bye.